and welcome back to my channel. So a really nice thing happened. I got inspired to film a video. I now know what I want to talk about for today's video at least. And first of all, I want to say sorry about the bad quality of this video. I know my videos never have a great quality, but this one is especially bad. I don't know why. My camera lens is just, I don't know. However, today I want to talk about something that's been concerning me lately, which is why I've been inspired to talk about it, and that is bad habits that lead to bloating, which I've been dealing with a lot lately, and what this bloating leads to, basically. I don't know if that made sense. So, I don't know, I'm just going, sorry, I'm just going to start with the bad habits that lead to bloating in the first place. Let me just drink a sip of water. Habits that lead to bloating in the first place, because I've been dealing with bloating for quite a while now, pretty much for years. I'm sorry, I don't know what's wrong with my voice. But it got worse and worse in time, and the last like 3 weeks it's been pretty bad, which is also why I've been feeling pretty uncomfortable within my body for the last 2 to 3 weeks. And so during quarantine, I've been basically like I had to work at home, like do my school stuff at home and stuff. And so it happened that sometimes I would work only at night because I wasn't motivated enough in the morning or whatever. And one habit that developed is that I would only allow myself to eat something after I finished all my work I had to do for the day. And that led to me often eating dinner at like 12 at night, which is obviously a little late. And the problem is that now that quarantine is over here in Austria, I still keep doing that. I still keep waiting until I've done all of my work, and then I start eating. And it still often is like 11 at night, which is too late for me, because that's something that I've realized. Once I eat that late, I am totally bloated the next morning. So it kind of is in my own hands how I feel about my body. It obviously is, but also how I treat my body, because that's not treating my body right. Maybe for some people it's right, I don't know. For me it isn't. I've noticed that the next day I just don't feel comfortable at all when I eat that late. And then another thing that leads to bloating for me is not sleeping enough. I think more than ever have I not slept enough this year. I've like normally I've always watched out for my sleeping schedule and looked looked after myself and just treated myself in a way that I could at least sleep 7 hours. And that's, I know 7 hours for some people it's not enough, for some people it's already a lot. I don't know, but for me it's just like the corner, no, not the corner, the border. And I think that 8 hours would be ideal for me, but I don't know. I've just always slept 7 hours, but this year it's only been like, most of the time it's only been 6 to 7 hours or 6 to 6.5 hours, which I know it sounds like very little difference. It's only half an hour or so, but it does make a huge difference for me only knowing what I'm doing to my body by not sleeping enough. And yeah, so that's also one thing that leads to bloating when I just, or I don't know, at least I think it does for me. I'm not sure. I'm not a doctor. I can't assure you that that's the reason why my belly is bloated. But that's what I think the reason is. So yeah, I think if you just, that's one tip, that just sleep enough because it's so important. And I know, again, I'm talking smart because I'm not doing that myself, but I'm giving you the advice to sleep enough. But yeah, I think it's just very important. And yeah, it also influences the way I personally, and I think many people, feel within their body. So it's really important. Yeah. And then the next thing that leads to bloating is eating certain foods. Because, for example, I've noticed that every time I eat chickpeas or broccoli, I get bloated the next day. And the problem is that those are pretty much some of my favorite foods. So that kind of sucks, and I still keep eating them. But yeah, that's also one thing that leads to bloating for me. And as I said, the last 2 weeks I've been dealing with a lot of bloating, and I think that is because the last 2 weeks have been quite stressful. Like, I've had a lot of fun, but also it's just I didn't have a second for myself. Like, there was constantly something happening. And I think when there's constantly something happening, and you can't look out for your body, you're neglecting your body. And I know for myself that I did, and for me that leads to bloating. And I'm sorry, I wrote some notes down on my hand because I want to try to not cut this video, to just upload it like this, because today I really don't have the time to cut a video. Yeah, so I wrote down some notes on my hand. Uh, yeah, right. The last thing I want to talk about is the things happening when I'm bloated. So basically, uh, I've been sucking in my belly for the last 2 weeks more than I have ever before. And I feel like I can't remember the time when I didn't flex my belly, because I feel like I constantly do, or most of the time do. Actually, no, I think some people even do that while they're sleeping. And I don't know how, but I don't think I do that. However, I do it when I'm awake, that I just flex my belly. And I've done that for several years. And like for the last 3 weeks, I've also been sucking in my belly, because I think there's a difference between flexing and sucking in, like flexing your stomach and yeah. However, and the sucking in my belly leads to me getting belly aches, which again leads to me wanting to beat myself into the stomach, because it's just so, I don't know, I just feel so gross once I'm bloated. And every time, and that's why I suck in my belly, but actually that only makes it worse. And honestly, I don't know the science behind this. I don't know if there is any science behind this, but every time that I sucked in my belly when I was bloated, I got even more bloated, which then led to me wanting to punch myself in the belly. Yeah, so it's pretty much a vicious circle. That's why sucking in your belly, it's so unhealthy. Like, I think it's actually a good thing that my body reacts to it by me having belly aches, because that shows how unhealthy it is. And I think it's just really important to try to avoid anything, like if you're dealing with something that's really bothering you, like for me, bloating, then try to find things that make it better, that aren't unhealthy, like sleeping more and eating the foods that you feel like make you feel good. And yeah, just stuff like that. Uh, as eating earlier in the evening for me, for example. And I think those are things that really help against bloating. Things like sucking in your belly just to not feel or not see the bloated belly, it doesn't help, it only makes it worse. So yeah, I think I'm going to end this video now. I'm not sure if it was that interesting. That's just something that's been bothering me for the last couple of weeks, so I wanted to talk about it. And I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you're all doing well. And still, if you have any idea of what I could talk about in the video, then please comment it. Please, please, please. And yeah, I will hopefully see you next time. Goodbye.